Welcome to The Explainer. So, what exactly is the future that Mark Zuckerberg is building? Today, we're going to unpack that vision, a world where holographic glasses and personal AI are supposed to solve a really fundamental human problem. We'll get into how this tech promises to completely reshape what it means to connect.
All right, to really get where Mark Zuckerberg is going with all this, we have to start with the problem he thinks he's solving. Just look at this data. In only 2 decades, the time we spend face-to-face, actually with other people, has plummeted. For adults, it's down 30%, which is a lot. But for teens, it's a staggering 70% drop. And this data brings up a huge paradox, right? We have all these apps, all these tools that are designed to connect us. So why does it feel like we're actually growing further apart? That single question is pretty much the launchpad for this entire vision we're about to explore. Zuckerberg has a name for this. He calls it the connection crisis. And he's making a really bold claim that the next wave of technology isn't going to make this worse. No, he argues it's being designed from the ground up to actually solve it. And if you look at the data on loneliness, it is stark. Today, 12% of Americans say they have 0 close friends. And what's so alarming about that number is that just 3 decades ago, it was only 3%. This isn't just some small shift. It really points to a deep erosion of our social fabric. So here's the crucial point from Zuckerberg's perspective. He says this new tech isn't trying to replace physical hangouts that are already happening. Instead, it's meant to fill a void, a gap that's already there between the social connection we all want and what we actually have. So how in the world do you solve a connection crisis with more technology? Well, Zuckerberg's answer doesn't start with software. It starts with a completely new kind of hardware, one that's designed to make physical distance totally irrelevant. The vision is, well, it's ambitious. It's aiming for something straight out of science fiction. His team has apparently been working for over a decade on a secret project codenamed Orion, a device that could project full interactive holograms right into the world around you. The whole idea driving this, the North Star for this entire project, is to achieve something called social presence. This is the tech holy grail, creating an illusion so real, so convincing, that your brain genuinely feels like you are physically in the same room with someone else's hologram. Okay, this is pretty wild. This slide breaks down the absolutely mind-bending tech they're trying to cram into what looks like a normal pair of glasses. You've got microprojectors, these nano-etched waveguides directing light into your eyes, eye tracking to make sure the holograms don't jiggle around, and all the computing power, plus a wristband that reads your neural signals to control it all. It's just a massive engineering challenge. The ultimate goal here isn't just about cool tech. It's about creating a much more natural, more social computing platform. The whole idea is to get our eyes up from the screens in our hands and put our attention back on the world and the people around us, whether they're physically there or just there as a hologram. But look, the hardware is only half of the equation. These glasses aren't just for seeing holograms. They're a platform for a totally new kind of intelligence, one that sees what you see and hears what you hear. So you can really think of this entire vision as resting on 2 pillars. You've got the augmented reality hardware on one side, and that's all about creating that feeling of social presence. And then you have the AI software, which provides that personalized, context-aware intelligence. And this is where it gets into a fascinating debate, right? AI can remove frustrating barriers, like a language gap, which is amazing. But what happens when it removes a struggle that was actually good for us, that helped us grow? Think about learning how to articulate your feelings. That struggle is often the whole point. So how do we decide which challenges to automate away? Zuckerberg's take on this is pretty optimistic. He basically suggests that as AI handles the old challenges, like basic coding or translation, our creativity will just find new, more complex, and probably more interesting problems to solve. He thinks we'll always find new things to struggle with. So this idea of a world full of AIs, it naturally brings up a massive question. How is all of this going to be governed? Because the architecture, the way these powerful tools are built, matters a lot. Right now, there's a huge debate in the field about how AI should be developed. Should it be these closed proprietary systems, like one giant AI from one company? Or should it be open source, where anyone can look at the code, modify it, and build on top of it, creating this whole diverse ecosystem of AIs? So here's the crucial point, and it's a little counterintuitive. Zuckerberg makes a case for the open source approach, and he frames it as a safety argument. The idea is that if you put the code out in the open, more people can inspect it, find flaws, and fix them way faster. In his view, more transparency actually leads to a safer and more secure AI ecosystem in the long run. But that brings us to this really fundamental question about who's in charge, right? In a world with a whole bunch of powerful open source AI models, who gets to set the standards? Who is ultimately responsible for how these tools get used?
And that really leads us to the final thought here. The ultimate challenge that this vision presents isn't just about building smarter tools. It's about how we as humans can use them to become smarter, more connected, and maybe even more empathetic ourselves.